Well, hello everyone, and welcome in to our program tonight, The Outside Story with Fran and Joe out of New York. They are ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. They've been out now for about 17, 18 months. And we're so glad that they have a program here on the six screens. Now, Fran and Joe, as you well know, they're trying to unite. They're trying to connect the ex-witness world. And we're so appreciative of their efforts and the time they spend trying to do this. So let's bring Fran and Joe in right now and say hello to them. Hello, Fran and Joe.
Hello.
Hi, all.
So there you guys are, ready to rock and roll tonight. So it sounds pretty good. I want to hear about Fran going to the Kingdom Hall. That got my attention.
Actually, Joe and I, both of us went to the Kingdom Hall.
That got
I
my
wouldn't-
attention. Yeah.
I wouldn't miss it either, Rick.
Yeah, I'd love to be there with you. I'd love to be the fly on the wall. So I'm going to cut
Yeah.
out of here, and you guys can do the program. But I'm here if you need me. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you, Rick.
Yeah, no, actually, it was a dear friend died, and this was his talk, the talk given for him, and so we wanted to support his family, his wife, and the rest of his family. We the only reason we went is because of that, and of course our members of our family was there, as well as everyone else that we knew, and as you can imagine, they all avoided us. Some gave little smiles, like one of the elders. Certain elders, nodded. One person we knew from years ago, who hasn't been in the area for a while, actually engaged me in conversation, but I don't think he knows that we dissociated. So they'll probably have a conversation about that later. But otherwise, we have no intentions of going back.
So, yes, when we got there, I walked past our son-in-law, and he was like really stiff, and I knew he wasn't going to say anything, but I said, "Hi," and I gave his name. And we just acted as if we're just normal people. We're not these horrible people that they're talking about. As a matter of fact, Joe asked if I wanted to go in the back room. I said, no, I don't want to go in the back room. So we walked up, and the person that died, his wife, is not a witness. And we know her, and that's why we went. And we went up to her, and we gave our condolences, and to her daughter. She has 5 children altogether. None of them were with the witness that died. So anyway, we sat like right up in the front, and we just acted as if, we're here because we want to be here for her, not because we came back to the Kingdom Hall.
Yeah.
And when they stood for the song and prayer, Joe and I just sat there.
We were just respectful observers, and it seemed that I don't think anyone was very interested in the talk. I really don't.
Mm-mm.
It was they did their best to give a little bit of interest, background about the our friend, but um,
I think they gave more information than they normally do because the wife is not a witness and none of the family members were witnesses.
you
So I think they gave him a little more um, attention than they normally would have.
yeah.
So in that respect, it was nice. But the brother giving the talk, he seemed so uncomfortable, and it just seemed, uh, very uninspiring.
No, he was doing his job. Oh, and incidentally, he had a blue suit on.
Yeah. Yeah, if anybody knows about the blue suits or you want to do any information, you can check out Bo.
Yeah.
He talks about the blue suits.
He had what we do, we're not activists, we're advocates, and we advocate for the friends that have been that are out or they're trying to get out because they need support. And we've been finding ones locally, and it works out really good because they're very glad that there's others that they can connect with. And that's what we're here for too now, is to connect others from who are exes all around the world. And we've been doing that. We've got a list of over 100 of the friends, and we connect them with each other. And they've developed and are developing such nice relationships with each other. And that's what you can do when you're out. You can develop nice relationships with each other that you can't develop when you're in. Um, we recognize though that it's gonna take a very large risk because the biggest fear that the friends have for leaving is the fact that they're going to lose. They're going to lose their friends. They're going to lose their family, and that's very real. It's very real, and everyone has to take that in consideration. Now we recognize that, but you have to think about something too. And I sympathize with anybody who's a PMO, who are trying to um, put on an air of sincerity so that they're not found out. But when you're found out, how are you going to be thought of then? In other words, what kind of reputation are you going to be left with? For example, if it's in your family and you don't want to lose your family members, be they young or older than you, and they find out, you mean you really weren't interested? You mean you really weren't sincere? You were a PMO all this time? Um, the very people that they're trying to remain connected to may end up not appreciating the fact that they weren't being honest with them. So it's a really double-edged sword that they're dealing with. So the person has to think deeply and think ahead. You know, um, uh, I've said it before, but there's no substitute for courage. If there's something that needs to be done, it's that's where there's a risk involved. Uh, there's probably going to be some loss, but there's also going to be gain. So you have to think ahead and think it would be the best thing. It's a really a question of values clarification. What do you really value with your life? What do you really value of the people that you're with? What do you want to be left with? What do you want people to know you as you proceed? Because that's what you're facing. Um, this is really kind of a challenging time for a lot of people, and we know it. It's a challenging time for us, but we're seeing many good things happen. Really, really good things happen. And
Yeah. Just today, I had someone call from Arizona, and she's been listening to Six Screens, and she reached out to us. And so right away, I connected her with Christine. If Christine is listening, Christine is also from Arizona, and this person had a very traumatic upbringing, just like a lot of us, a lot of the ones in the organization. So anyway, she shared her story with me, and now we connected her with someone, and we'll be connecting them with others too.
mhm.
On Mother's Day, we had a woman come into our shop, and we have a consignment shop, so she was shopping, and I happened to be talking to an ex sister from California, and she kind of overheard the conversation, but she didn't say anything. So as she was leaving, I asked our normal question, "Do you know any Jehovah's Witnesses?" And she looked at me, and she had this look on her face like, I go, uh-oh, there's got to be something here. So then she started crying, and she said that her husband is a witness. She never became a witness, and he treats her terribly. And I said, you better come back in and we're going to sit down and have a cup of coffee. And so she stayed for another hour and a half, 2 hours. She said, I think God sent me here because I didn't want to go home and I had to go a different route because the road was closed. There was a train fire. So, anyway, we got to talking with her and we connected her with a couple of ex sisters that she's going to be talking with. And so you just never know. We do this all the time. We meet people. You don't know what connection they have had with Jehovah's Witnesses. And then we try to connect them with someone so that they don't feel alone. And she was feeling alone. She says, "Oh my goodness, I don't believe this. I don't believe this is happening." And so, anyway, we made her Mother's Day a little happier.
What we've been working on lately too is um, helping the community know what's going on with Jehovah's Witnesses and with people who are the members and their families. And our attitude is that the the witnesses at the door don't know what's really going on, like we know what's going on because of this program. This program has been so helpful with informing all of the exes um, what's going on in the organization, the cases of child abuse being tried now. Um, Unfortunately, the lives that are being lost because of the depression, they don't know that. So our goal is for people, the householder, to engage them in conversation and ask them what's being done. Ask that witness at the door to ask them, what do you know what's going on with child abuse? Do you know what's going on with the suicides that are taking place? Um, and not to just, send them away, but actually show them some consideration and help them to realize that there's a very powerful, dangerous crisis that's going on right now. And most of the people we talk with don't realize that. These are the public in general. They don't know what's going on like we all know what's going on. They need to know. So what we're in the process of is sending out postcards to the community. Our goal is to send them to witness members that we've known, as well as neighbors, as well as local businesses and agencies, uh, uh, and to share with them what's going on. And it's for a postcard size message. So we've been trying to weed it down to just small enough for a postcard. And I'm going to just read what's on that postcard. We have it typed out right here, but this will be on a postcard. And what it says is, to our friends and neighbors, why are massive numbers of Jehovah's Witnesses leaving the Watchtower religion? And then the next sentence is, court cases, child sexual abuse by Jehovah's Witnesses. See Pennsylvania and others. Shunning practiced by members destroys families and individuals. And then the next line, high rates of depression and suicide among members and families. And the next is, ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, we offer information and needed support. We respect your privacy. And then we wanted to say, please contact us, our names, and we gave our email. So this is, it's ready to be printed soon, and we'll start sending them out. And the goal is to just get people in the neighborhood to know what we know. Because as far as I'm concerned, that's the only way friends are really going to find out, is by their neighbors telling them. They're not going to listen to us. Some may be going on these programs right now. There may be some witnesses who are listening to this program right now, and I commend you for checking things out. But there's so many that aren't, and so we're trying to do our part in reaching to the members in our community. And perhaps others out there can do the same in your community. Reach out to the people in your community, and you might find that you'll have so many people who are interested in supporting our efforts. The sooner all of us do that, well, the sooner that they can make a decision that's favorable for all of us. I think to wait for the to wait for the laws and the courts to do something, it may not be something that it may not be enough. The courts and the government may be more favorable to the witnesses than you would like, because it's been found that the government and the witnesses, basically they work together. So if you think you're going to get justice from the government, you may be mistaken. The court of public opinion of the people, the neighbors, your neighbors, they're the ones that are probably going to bring biggest pressure to bear on individuals in the community, and on other friends who are
Thank you, everyone. And Rick, I thank you really for what you're doing. It's a great help to so many people. And know that everything we take you for granted, we don't. So with that, I'll say good night.
Good night. All right. Well, there you go. Well, we thank Barbara for that. All right, listen, we are going to JW World News. That's the news the Watchtower doesn't want us talking about. But we talk about it here on the 6th.
Well, I'm not sure what's happening here, guys. I'm not sure why that came up, but
Well, it's exciting.
I think what it is someone's listening in on the program here. Let's mute them right now. I think that's what's going on. Sorry, I mean, we got a lot of things happening.
That's okay, Rick.
It's people calling in and they're listening to the YouTube video.
Yeah.
That's what's going on. So sorry that's happening. I just
no,
stepped out for a couple of seconds. So you guys are back on. Go ahead.
That's okay.
Thanks, Rick.
I was just looking at some of the comments, and we want to say hi to Desiree. We love you too. Desiree and Eric. Steve, good to see you on. And I'm not sure, is it Clooney? He asked, how long into the funeral did it become a timeshare presentation?
I'd say about a third of the way in.
Yeah.
2/3 was 2/3. There were what, 6 or 8 scriptures that
I
they
counted them. There were 12.
Oh, 12. Yeah, I was trying to ignore them.
They were on the program. That's why I counted them.
And I don't know whose intention that was, but it was boring. It was so boring. You know, it's such a beautiful dream that they try to put forth, and obviously we're awake to that dream, and so are many people right now listening. But it sounds like they're putting themselves to sleep with their own dream. It just doesn't sound like it's working, and we're watching it and going there. It's so sad. It's like a group psychosis. It really is, and it's not going to last much longer. It can't last much longer the way it is. They may change into something, I don't know what, but they don't know how to put an end to it. I think they're going to find out how it's going to end, but they don't know how to put an end to it. But they just keep it up because they don't know anything else. So I have to commend everybody who's here, who's out, for taking the courage to do what you know to be the right thing. It's the only human thing to do. Humans of any value do what they know to be the right thing. And if they don't, they end up saying, "I wish I did what I thought I should do," and they regret not having done it. So um, uh, keep doing what you're doing and help others in the community to know what you're doing. See,
Mhm.
we know what we're doing, but people in the community, uh, they might be very interested in what's going on. They know people who are witnesses. Some are going to be concerned about their welfare because this it really is a human uh, health crisis that's going on right now, on emotional health and mental health, and it, there are people in the community that would be helpful for you and for us. That's what we're doing.
Mhm.
We're looking for people. We're looking for people in our community who will be helpful. We really can't do anything on our own. We can come up with ideas. We can start things, but we appreciate any of the help that we find out there. And there's people who are concerned. We just need to connect with them.
Also, Mary 777 says, I was in Spanish congregation and it's impossible to find anyone. Well, this is interesting because Joe and I were on the local radio program
Yeah.
about, was it a month ago, 2 months ago, month and a half ago? We still had snow. So anyway, we didn't hear anything. No one got in contact with us. We didn't know if anyone locally had heard us on the radio station. So finally, a Spanish sister and her two daughters, and they were going to the same Kingdom Hall we were going to. She reached out in an email and she said, please contact me. We're trying to get out. So we did, and they are so sweet. We've had them over twice now, and they said, we just love talking with you. You're so encouraging, and they may be listening tonight. So, yes, there are those in the Spanish that are leaving, and if you'd like to be connected, we'd be glad to connect you with Spanish friends. So they do speak English, and the mom does really well speaking English. She's originally from Ecuador, and two daughters. Matter of fact, the one daughter went to college while she was a witness, and she became a nurse. She was the last one to leave, and then the other daughter never believed it, and she's a teacher. She teaches young children right in the nearby city school. So they're happy to be out and helping others to let them know what's going on. So that's all we're trying to do. Uh, looks like looks like JP might be on. Hi JP, always good to talk with you. And Asas, oh, where are you? From, you know who you are, from Georgia, but you go by, I have to find it. I saw it here a second ago. Well, you know who you are. Can't find it. He goes by. Nope, can't find it. It's okay. Sorry. So we've got some news that next weekend we're going to be in Massachusetts. We're going to meet up with Rick hopefully on Friday. And Saturday, we're staying in Lancaster with some friends. But on Sunday, that would be June 4th, we'd like to meet up with anyone in Massachusetts for a meetup. And it seems like maybe the local, like a central place for meeting up might be Burlington, but we're staying in Lancaster. We've got some friends that are going to be coming up from, uh, what's that little part under Boston called where everybody goes? And Martha Vineyards, yeah, Cape. where David and Marcel always go. I can't think of it.
Okay. I'll
Anyway,
tell you soon.
where Hyannisport is and Plymouth Rock. You guys all know. Anyway, we've
I'm
got
not
some
sure, honey.
people coming from there. So if anyone is interested in a meetup, we're going to be there. There's going to be at least five people that we know of so far. Some children. Maybe we can do, bring something to eat and a picnic if we can find an outdoor venue. We haven't decided where, but you can get in touch with Rick or you can get in touch with us and we'll give our information.
And incidentally, if anyone who's listening now is interested in connecting with any other witnesses, let us know, because there's others that are more than happy to connect with ones who are trying to get out or who are out and trying to just connect with other friends.
Thank you, Rose. Cape Cod, that's it.
Cape Cod. Oh,
Cape
is that
Cod.
where?
Thank you. There's someone in, we'll get back to the Massachusetts, but if there's anyone out there in Mississippi, we've got a contact that would like to reach out to you. She was recently widowed. Too many negative things happened all at once to her. She was widowed and she left the organization. Thankfully, she does have children that speak to her. So she's got that going for her. But she would like to either move to North Carolina. We hooked her up with Sharon, or possibly she'd like to move to Florida. So if you know anyone in the Mississippi area, please reach out to us, let us know. Scrimshaw, how are you from Cape Cod? If so, what part? Okay, yep, we've got friends in Cape Cod. So that you know that Massachusetts is the apostate capital of the world. We expect a lot of people showing up in Massachusetts next week on Sunday.
Any of the meetups that we've had, at least in
California.
California and wherever else, Texas, we had a meetup.
Mhm.
It's such a good time. It's such a good meeting of people that went through something that was very difficult and now are seeing past it. They're experiencing a freedom that they never could have had if they first weren't basically imprisoned in that organization. And part of that imprisonment, it's a self-imprisonment. See, they weren't our jailer. Watchtower wasn't our jailer. See, any one of us, and I'll speak for myself, we imprisoned ourselves in that little world because we seriously believed that there would be a great prize. There would be a prize. Because as they always used to say, keep on reaching out for that prize, that prize. Whatever that prize is for some, it's that prize of everlasting life, the prize of seeing your dead loved ones again, the prize of never dying, the prize of perfect surf every day, or whatever other selfish desire you might have, or any one of us might have. See, that was that little prison that we locked ourselves into because we wanted that prize. And what it boils down to, I mean, I have to look at that for myself as that was greed. That's a powerful emotion, greed. I mean, all of us want nice things. We're not greedy if we want something nice and good. But when we do something that's inordinate, and we make it more important than other things that we need, and start to lose perspective, and start to give up other things, then something's wrong. And this is where balance comes in. And that Watchtower Society made sure that we didn't look at things in a balanced way. They made sure that we looked at things in a very Watchtower way that was slanted toward keeping that organization strong, and keeping money flow strong, and keeping us working at every one of their interests so that they could profit from it. And all that because we wanted that prize. And then if the prize didn't work, then fear, afraid that we would lose our family and be shunned if we started to drift away and leave. So either way you go, some powerful motivators are there, and we supply those motivations. We supply the greed, we supply the fear, and as soon as those two motivators are gone, in other words, well, you know, I'm not greedy anymore. I don't care about your promise of whatever. I don't care about that anymore. And you know what? I'm not afraid of what you are holding against me. I'm not afraid of that. I'm afraid of something else. I might be afraid of losing my personal integrity. I might be afraid of losing my self-dignity and my self-worth, all because I'm reaching out for some prize. It's not even real. Um, and and so we have to actually ask ourselves, well, what do I really value? And unless our values are clear, we're going to continue to take on the Watchtower's values. They're going to tell me, they told me exactly what I should value, exactly what I should value. And they made sure my wife reinforced those values to me. Didn't you do that? Yep, she reinforced it because she was being a good witness.
Yeah.
And my family, especially my children, our children especially, oh, they were reinforcing those values.
Yeah.
But they weren't working for me anymore because I realized that they were false values. They were not my values. They were their values. And there's a saying that says, if you're not living your dream, you're living someone else's. And you're not going to end up thanking yourself for that. You're going to end up coming to the end of your life and realizing, I never lived my dream. I was living someone else's. And that might be a very hollow feeling for someone. So it's good to reflect on that. See, so many of us we really were duped. We really were. They took advantage of our basic motivation, and that of attaining something good for ourselves and for our family. See, I wanted good for my family. Unfortunately, it wasn't real. It was a dream, and really it was a lie, and it's criminal because that lie ended up getting people to decline a blood transfusion, and they died for it, and their wives died for it, and their children died for it. And the society viewed that, the Watchtower Society views that as an acceptable sacrifice. They glorified that as a sacrifice that was good to give. And that's something that you're going to have to, every one of us is going to have to ask whether or not we want to be sacrificed like that for Watchtower's value. If you happen to believe, if they happen to believe that it's a sacrifice to their Creator, that's something they're going to have to, each individual is going to have to accept, or they're going to have to decide for themselves. But if you just end up realizing that it's been a very large criminal fraud, then then you're going to have to do the right thing and speak out against it. Otherwise, frankly, honestly, I don't see how a person could avoid not being an accomplice See, if we're in an organization that's a criminal organization, if we're doing things that the organization supports the organization, basically we're supporting a criminal organization. Does that make us a criminal because we're in a criminal organization? That's something that I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. All I know is that I'm answerable myself, and personally, I had to ask myself whether or not I wanted to support a criminal organization, and I never wanted to. So that's not why I got involved with that Watchtower organization. It was for some other reason. But then, when facts come to fact, and it's shown that they're criminals, then a decision is demanded, and that's why we decided to get out, and I'm very glad we did. I'm certainly not glad that we lost our family at this point, but then again, they're adults who are making their own personal decisions, and I hope that they are making their decision and not Watchtower's decision. And that's something they're going to have to face up to, one way or the other. We're just looking for people who are interested in living their best life and not someone else's dream. That's what's happening in that organization. They still want people to live the dream. And from what I saw tonight at the meeting, it doesn't look like it's a very exciting dream anymore. I'm sure things are happening behind that we don't even know about. And let's say that organization ends up, let's say tomorrow that organization comes to a halt and they say, no more meetings. The Kingdom Halls are closed. Don't bother going to the meetings. No more Zoom. Let's say that happened. Yeah, then what are going to happen with those people? What about the people that are left there that now realize they have nothing to go to? What kind of stress and trauma are they going to suffer? What kind of a meaninglessness are they going to be overcome with when they realize they have nothing to go to now? Their whole world is collapsed. That's when serious problems develop in a person's life, with depression and suicide. It's real. So I would want to make sure that everyone knows that we're not just dealing with an organization that's selfish. We're dealing with an organization that's causing some very severe, life-threatening problems for people. And each of us has that opportunity to make the right decision for that.
Someone just said that.
Hello, Joe.
Can you hear us okay? Is the volume okay?
It's a little quiet, but
Okay.
I wanted to ask a question because you made me think of something that's kind of powerful about, Jehovah's Witnesses. If it was closed down tomorrow, what would happen?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we know that when we left, we had a big vacuum in our lives, and we were kind of just treading water for a while, not really sure what to do.
Yeah.
But can you imagine if millions of people or even hundreds of thousands in the United States were just prevented from coming to the meetings?
Yeah.
They'd have nothing to go to, just like we had nothing to go to when we left. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
They had, because they're not on a stable Christian plane, we would have hundreds of thousands of people that were just nutty, that didn't know what to do and where to go. It would really be miserable, because when we left, it was horrible. So if they had nowhere to go, because they're not spiritually mature, what would they do? And that's a scary question. And I never thought of that before. What would happen if they couldn't go to meetings, and now you have people that have nowhere to go, and they don't want to go to to Christianity because they're told that's evil and bad.
Yeah.
So
No,
where do they go? What do they do?
yeah. We feel very strongly about that. We really do, because that's happened so before at other times in other circumstances, um, and anyone who studies history realizes there are certain times when that's happened, and it's left people, like you said, in a vacuum. But worse than in a vacuum, it leaves them at a point where their life becomes meaningless. And when a person's life becomes meaningless,
Yes.
they they'll take their life, because we don't want to live lives that lack meaning. Um, we need to think seriously about that, and that's exactly why we're reaching out to people in the community. They need to understand that, because there's a lot of people who aren't interested in the Jehovah's Witness religion, but they care about the people who are in that religion. So we're trying to connect with those people in the community. There are a lot of good people in the community.
We've had so many people tell us. Just today, a gentleman came in and he said, I'm going to pray for you. I'm going to pray for your children. They're sincere because they see the dilemma going on with the witnesses. And we're just trying to raise awareness so that they know they're not just these nice people that come to their door and wake them up on Saturday morning. The people we have nothing against the Friends. They're just
No,
they're
well,
just blinded. We love the Friends, but they're blinded.
yeah, the people that we talk with, the public, when they find out, they have no clue that that the witness is shunned. In other words, when they find out we have 4 children that now shun us, they're kind of stunned. They don't know how to react to that. Um, they some are catch on a little more quickly, and they react more quickly. Others, I think it takes time for them to process that, because they can't imagine such a horrible thing taking place. Like, who would do that, and why would they do that? Um, this is it's a public health crisis. It really is, and we don't want to underestimate that. Um, and I hope everybody who's listening has a feel for the people when this organization changes or goes down or whatever happens to it. There are going to be people that are going to need direction in their lives, support and understanding, and frankly forgiveness, because otherwise they're going to be hurt, and they may want to hurt themselves.
Mhm.
And that's how we know that organization it's a hateful organization. And there's people who call it satanic. Call it whatever name that you want. They don't love people. For whatever reason, they don't love people. It doesn't matter. What matters is they just simply don't love people. But yet there's people there that think they are loved, and they're not loved. They're not loved. We're finding people that really do love each other.
Mhm.
And they're the ones that have gotten out and now connect with each other. And their lives are filled. Their lives are now filled with something that they never had before. That's called true love, care, compassion for each other. And I would invite everybody and anybody out there to share in that. If you're someone that would want to support and care and connect with any of the other friends who are out. There are others out there. We have a lot of names.
I just was reading through the comments, and so the person I was talking about just a little while ago, so Christine reached out to her in Arizona. They already made contact with each other, and that was just within today. So that was nice to hear. And also, it looks like Sharon reached out to the ex-sister in Mississippi, and they're going to be getting together next month. So she's going to check out North Carolina and see if it's something that she would like to move to. So it makes my heart really feel good. It's like connecting our children together all over. And that's how I view all of you as my family. We may have lost our children. Maybe they'll come back, we don't know. But we've gained so much in the meantime. And we truly appreciate all of you. We really do. We've got someone here from Honduras, it looks like. Mr. Chinchilla from Honduras, united to fight against the evil tower. And also someone from the Netherlands is on the chat. So if anyone want to call in.
I'd like to reinforce the fact that that organization, the Watchtower, is going to do, they're going to do themselves in. We need to be the people that care for each other.
That's right.
Not do the organization in. They're taking care of that themselves. We need to take care of the people that are in there, because they're not going to know what to do. They truly aren't. They're in that dream. They might be stunned to awakeness, and no one likes to be stunned awake. If you ever were stunned awake, you know how destabilizing that is. We don't want to see that happen. If that does happen, we want to be there and support them in it. Otherwise, there's going to be more casualties.
We have someone, D Happy Heretic, says we spoke on WhatsApp. You connected me with Charlotte from Canada, dear Fran and Joe. Yes, Charlotte, she's a sweetheart. And we're glad that you connected. Was someone on the line? Did they want to say something?
Oh, hey guys, it's Eric from Tennessee. How are y'all?
Good,
Hi,
Eric. How are
Hi,
you?
Desiree.
Good. Oh, she's good too. I just wanted to say that something that Jehovah's Witnesses could never get, that you're doing. You don't need to be told to unite us all, which is what you're doing. You know, you're uniting us all. We all know. Well, you and I, or four of us, know people like JP and Brad from Australia and others. We all have. You guys are uniting us. You're pulling us together, and you don't need to be told to do it. It's great that the Jehovah's Witnesses are willing to do RBC work and stuff like that. But if they were only doing it for a good cause, and if they only used their critical thinking faculties, so that what they were doing was well invested and not just towards some corporation. But you guys don't need to do that, and neither do any of us. We're all pulling together as a family for the families that we lost. And I think it's a beautiful thing. And I thought I'd add that to y'all. And thank you so much for the card.
Oh, you're welcome.
Eric, thank you so much for saying that. And I'm gonna magnify that a little bit more. It's a selfish interest I have. I want to be part of an organization, part of a group of people, a family, whatever you want to call it, that cares for each other, that will put out the kind of effort for each other that we did when they were part of that organization. Well, the effort we put out for that organization all went to literally monetarily profit that organization. It took from us, it exploited us, and we enriched them. And they ended up basically lying to us throughout the whole deal. They used us. I want to be part of an organization where people like all of us care for each other and are willing to do things for each other, even if it's just be friends and be honest with each other and care for each other. Otherwise, I would have seen that as a horrible waste of time, just being part of that other group of people for 36 years. I happen to believe that the people are good people that were in that organization. There are good people in a very bad organization. I would like to see us benefit from that and not just be casualties from that. And we're seeing it. We are seeing it happen. We are seeing numbers of people connect to each other and be valuable to each other. It's absolutely beautiful. It really is absolutely beautiful. It you know, we reflect on it, and frankly, it brings me to tears at times because I realize that's what we were cheated of in that organization. And that's what everyone's cheated of. We experience it now, and we like it. We want others to experience it as well.
I was going to call in on the program before us, and I know there were so many people calling in, but I wanted to answer the caller's question about Dan. And Dan is a very passionate person. Any of us that have listened to Dan, we love Dan. And he's been hurt, like a lot of us have been hurt by the Watchtower. And obviously, this person calling in did not understand
No, he has no
the
understanding.
the intensity that Dan feels. And sometimes, you know, yeah, he may say the F word and everything, but that's his passion. And we love Dan. And I just wanted to say that I, for one, would talk to Dan in the Kingdom Hall or wherever. Yes, I would. He's not a crackpot.
No.
He's a beautiful person.
No.
And I just wanted to say that because I didn't get a chance to call in.
Yeah, and I think anyone that's here, I would ask them very seriously to check your motives. If you're here for content, if you're here to gain content for your own program or anything like that, this is not the forum for that. This is a forum of people who have been connected together. They've been used, they've been abused. Some have not made out with their lives. They've lost their lives because of the blood transfusion problem or because of suicide. This is the place where people are trying to survive from a cult that truly has no love for them, but would gladly use them to death. And that's what's happened. So the people that are on it now rightly have the kind of emotions that Dan has. And anyone that doesn't understand that needs to be quiet and listen and pay attention. And if they don't appreciate it, they can find another forum. This is a place only for people that care for each other. Rick Fearon has done something very special. He's pulled people together who've been through that. And we, for one, want to do nothing but support that and care for the people that are here. If anybody does have any questions about why we do what we do, what's going on, or whatever, I'm more than happy to, to share information on that.
Hi, Joe and Fran.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, it's Nadine. I'm having a hard time hearing you guys.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
Well, no, I don't think we can do it.
I think I have you.
How is it now?
Oh, it's better now.
Okay, we probably have to be closer.
Okay.
I'm
I
glad you told us.
say, what was that?
I'm glad you told us, Nadine. Thank you.
Oh yeah, no, I can hear you well now. I heard you say, Joe, that when we were witnesses, that we didn't live our lives, that we lived someone else's life. And it's so true because we just cannot really be ourselves in that organization. And if we are, to a certain point, we're living a double life, basically. When we're not around or we have friends that aren't witnesses, but really we can't fully live our own lives because we have to, follow the rules, or like say if your parent is a witness, like my mom, so I had to mind my P's and Q's so that she wouldn't be mad at me, things like that.
Mhm.
And it's really true. And so I like that point that you brought out. And I was going to say another thing too about that assembly part that they cut out of the shunning,
Mhm.
where the mom is calling the daughter
Right.
and the daughter doesn't answer the phone. It's just really awful. It's just so evil. And so they did take it out, but a lot of people did go ahead and see that if they went to the assembly
Yeah.
Earlier. So some of the witnesses saw that, but
Yeah.
anyways, what are your thoughts on that video?
Well, I could have been that video, Nadine, because our
Right,
children.
I thought about
Yeah.
you, Fran. Yeah, I just
No,
think about you. What
I
else?
truly identified with it. And I really feel for our children because they're in a spot that they don't want to be in. I'm sure they don't want to have to shun their parents because we had a close relationship before. It's not like, we didn't get along. We always did. And so now, because the organization is telling them that they have to shun us, they're put in this really bad spot, this really bad position. I'm sure you want to
It
say
is.
I think what happens.
It is a really bad position.
Honestly, I think in a deeper way, what happens is that a person's true character comes out under stress and difficulty. Their character isn't developed under stress. It's revealed. They show who they really are. And that's what's been taking place. Now, Fran said we always got along, and I have to think a little more carefully about
okay,
that.
no, yeah, that's true.
I would say, as a family, we did not always get along.
Right.
And in fairness,
there was stress.
There was stress because of difficulties and differences, which happens in all families. It's just it's almost a natural thing because of the individuals involved.
But on a day-to-day basis, I mean, we talked to
Of
each
course.
other. We would call each
Of
other.
course.
I'm talking about that.
Of course.
And yeah.
But the problem becomes that that Watchtower Society knows how to divide people. It's not like you and me. If we did something like that, we would be, and if someone knew that we were doing something purposely to intervene and to divide someone's relationship, we would be thought of as a horrible person. It's like, well, what are you meddling in someone else's lives for like that? You have no right to meddle in their lives. What do you? That's not very loving or humane or just or right of you. Well, the society does that because they have no soul. They have no human soul. They're a corporation, and they're just living for the corporation, and they're doing everything for that monster corporation to stay alive. And unfortunately, they know how to push the buttons on people that have emotions that may be triggered. In other words, if you're feeling bad about someone can come along and they can get you to do something bad toward that person and feel justified for it. And you might think, after realize, well, now why did I do that? You did that because you were triggered to do that. You were motivated to do that because we can be used that way as human beings. We're very exploitable. I mean, we're very exploitable. And Watchtower knew how exploitable we were, and now we know how exploitable we are. And now we're trying to do something about it.
And I also think that the Watchtower has people exactly where they want them to be, with being told not to have friends outside of the organization, don't have
really?
worldly friends, and so if somebody does speak up, they're afraid. They don't want to be ousted because they have all their friends that are witnesses.
That's
And
right.
so if they do something, they're going to lose all their friends. But fortunately for me, I had some worldly friends. Well, I think it's because my dad was never a witness. He was very opposed. And
That's
my mother was the very staunch, Jehovah's Witness. So I had both worlds, but mostly I followed my mother, who was a witness. But some things did resonate with that my dad would say. And I had friends that were not witnesses. Not that many, and I always kept them sort of at a distance, but still maintained somewhat of a friendship.
Yeah.
I didn't go fully in because I think that's how I lived my life. I didn't go fully in either way.
Right.
I wasn't fully in the world, but I wasn't fully like this really strong witness
Right.
because I didn't believe some of it anyway.
Right.
I would still go out in service and things like, everything like that, and go to the meetings, even though I did not like going to the evening meetings because I like to be home in the evening.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me to go out at night. But I had friends that were not witnesses. And I think that helped when I just didn't want to go back anymore.
No,
I didn't have that many, but I have lots of friends,
See, this is that, Nadine, if I could just say,
Wow.
you left yourself in a position where you could make an informed decision. You didn't isolate. You were not isolating yourself. Whereas our family, and I can honestly say this, they self-isolate. In other words, they purposely isolate themselves from other ideas and attitudes and values, points of view. They isolate themselves from those other points of view than the Watchtower, and so therefore they'll never do anything that is contrary to what the Watchtower says because they isolate themselves, and that's one aspect or
Right.
thing of a cult. It's isolation, and
Right. But I still feel cheated because, like I said, I did have some worldly friends, but I still kept it sort of distance in a way. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Oh, I
So
do.
I wasn't
Yes, we
fully
do.
that way. I wasn't fully in either way.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so I feel cheated because it would have been just better if I was just one way or the other.
You're right.
I
You're
understand.
right.
Yeah.
Because if I would have been fully out, then I probably would have made other decisions like, I always did want to work. Well, I did work in the very beginning when I was younger, but then I didn't work because I was raising my daughter, and then I had took care of my mother, and I just didn't. But I think I would have had different values, and I would have wanted to work, possibly, if I was fully out. But I was kind of like in the middle, halfway in, halfway out, and
Well,
I really didn't get to enjoy.
so what's the lesson there, Nadine? What would you say the lesson is?
I think the lesson for me is I'm glad I'm out fully because I'm enjoying my life much better now.
Right.
Thank you. That's what I would
Yes.
say. That, in other words, you're not going
Yes.
to benefit if you don't take your stand fully. You're just not going to benefit either way. And
Exactly. And I was sort of like in limbo.
Yeah.
And I had friends, like my best friend, she doesn't speak to me. I did a little video with Gilbert about that, about how I went to a funeral service, and my friend was there. I went to a Jehovah's Witness service about 3 weeks ago, and it was very interesting, to say the least. But my friend was there, who was my best friend. We were best friends for years, but I haven't talked to her in quite a while. And I was never disfellowshipped. I just faded. But she was very rude to me, and she wouldn't speak to me. And, but other people there did speak to me, but she was just, not nice to me at all. So you do lose your friends, but I've gained so many other friends.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I don't miss her anymore, because she's not a true friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's just not a true friend. If she's going to turn her back on me,
Mm-hmm.
I was, like I said, I was never disfellowshipped. And for her, to not even to reach out to me or say, gosh, it's nice to see you. And because I did tell her it was nice to see her. And she said to me, yeah, she goes, this is weird. And then she walked away from me in the Kingdom Hall. So, yes, it was very strange.
The society never taught us how to be friends. Even though they thought they did. They did not teach us how to be friends. They taught us how to be approved associates.
That's true.
That's not a friend.
True.
That's not a friend.
No.
All
But see, that's where I think I'm different, because let's say it was reversed. I would reach out to her because I think because of how I was raised too, like my dad wasn't a witness, so I was a little more
Here's the popsicle.
what was that, Fran?
No, we're listening. I think there's just some other noise or something, Nadine.
Oh yeah, I'm like, who is that?
I don't know. It's not Fran.
I think I was what?
It's not. It wasn't Fran.
Okay, I can't really hear it that well because it's all muffled. But anyways, I think it was different for me because I know what the word is. I was more open-minded
Mm-hmm.
and not so judgmental.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that I would reach out to her and say, "Hi, hey, how are you? How are you doing?
Yeah, it was
I would at least be friendly."
That was very humane of you.
Hmm?
That's very humane. In other words, the society is not humane, and everything they taught things that literally were not humane. And that's the biggest lesson that I think all of us are learning, is that we gave up our humanity for a prize. We wanted that prize.
Right.
And so I'll give up my humanity. I'll give up all sorts of things just so I can have that prize. Well, it's a bad bargain. It was a bad.
And what is the
bad
prize?
bargain.
What exactly is the prize?
It's a wish sandwich. There's
So,
nothing there.
Nadine?
Yes.
Yeah, something similar happened to us this week. We were at Walmart just the other day, and I was just about to tell Joe, all the times we come to Walmart, we don't see any of the friends, our former friends. And just as I was going to tell him, in the parking lot was one of my best friends. And, we always did things together. We were at her house. She was at our house. Joe always did work for the family. So she was putting her groceries in the car. And I said to myself, I'm going to say hello to her. So I said, "Hi, Carol." And she just looked at me like, "Oh, hi."
She didn't know what to do. The poor dear was stuck.
I don't know if she didn't see us
no.
or if she was trying to avoid us.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to avoid people. And she just said, "Oh, hi." And then she went back to putting the groceries in. But I'm not going to put
No.
on this. I'm not going to do what they want me to do. I'm not going to act ashamed. I'm not going to act guilty. I'm not going to put my head down because I didn't do anything wrong. And if they want to say hi back, that's fine. If they don't, well, I'm still going to say hello to them.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's what just happened the other day.
Right. I know. They're so childish.
Yeah.
It's so juvenile.
Yeah. It is.
Well, they're not adult. They don't know how to
my
adult.
See, Nadine, we're really
Yeah.
Nadine, we are really not apostates. We're graduates. The apostates are at Watchtower. They're the governing body. We're the graduates. We say we're out, we're gone, we're done. We're going out into the world.
Right.
We're going to embark on our future, and that's what you're doing. And
Right. Well, isn't it true that the old literature that they don't use anymore, that they've asked people to turn in, they call it apostate literature. And you're not supposed to look at it, and they call it apostate literature. That's ridiculous. So they're saying that they were apostates.
I know.
This doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. No, that society is made up of
Isn't the
people
truth
that aren't.
good?
Yeah, the people in that organization really are not that bright. They really are not that bright.
No. Right. Yeah.
Unfortunately, we were being guided by people that weren't very bright.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, a lot of us.
Then all the time that we were studying the Revelation book and people studied in the Truth book, so that was all apostate. That's all apostate material.
That's right. You're absolutely right.
Can I just read a
Yeah,
comment?
they try to make sense out of that.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Steve Benoit, on the topic of shunning, I comment, to have to check the obituaries regularly and find out my mom has passed is twisted. It really is. If you have to read the obituaries to find if your mother or father have died, that's really sick.
Yeah.
Thank you, Steve.
It is. It is. It's just, yeah. Sometimes I don't even have the words anymore. I can't even, it's just so ridiculous.
It's
ridiculous.
It's inhumane. Is all there is to it. It lacks humanity.
Yeah.
See, there are things that humans do that we do because we're human. And when we do that, we're attracted and drawn to each other, and we're comforted by each other. We care for each other, and we're glad to be around each other. That's humane. That's what humane is. Well, the society has taught us not to do those things. And there's a reason why. They want to take something away from us, and they want to replace it with something that they want us to think is better. See, they've got something better for us than we could have on our own. Well, it's not true. They do not have anything better for us. But this is where greed comes in. This, unfortunately, I'm going to kind of hold that to us and say, if I wasn't greedy, maybe I wouldn't have fallen prey to that organization. Maybe I was being too greedy.
Well, my life is a lot happier. I'm more content.
Yep.
Not being around that anymore.
Same here,
And
Nadine.
I don't feel as anxious. I used to have, I still can have a little bit of anxiety, but I used to have so much anxiety, and I really didn't know where it came from, but I do now, and I feel like I'm a calmer person
no doubt.
now, and I have a richer life now.
Yeah, and we're so glad. We're so glad, Nadine. And that's the kind of people that we want to be around, people that are glad for what they're doing. And we are. We are.
Right.
That's why meetups are so nice.
Yes, again,
Yeah.
in case someone did not hear, we're going to be in Massachusetts next weekend, and we're trying to plan a meetup on Sunday. So anywhere near Burlington, Lancaster, if anyone is in that area, I put our email address in the comment section here. But in case you don't see it, it's JANDFGUERINO@gmail.com.
And if you want our phone number, just email us and let us know.
Hi, Fran and Joe. Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yes.
can.
Hey, this is Debbie.
Debbie.
I
And
know it's
um,
Debbie. Hi, Debbie.
do I have a little bit of an accent still?
A little,
Just a little bit.
little bit.
Little bit, okay. I just wanted to tell y'all that y'all have made such a huge difference in my life. Because especially, I mean, as soon as y'all join, like Six Screens and everything, it seemed like you breathed new life into the whole bunch of us. And the fact of the way you've been connecting us personally with each other, like I'm friends now with Eric and Desiree and JP and Brad and Gail Murphy in Massachusetts, and oh my goodness, me and her just clicked so great. And then there's Gail White in Texas, and then there's Celeste, and I mean, and Dan and Angela, I already knew them, and I knew when you were talking about with Dan, I know that his passion is so genuine, and when he talks, and sometimes I sound angry, but it's just like I feel something so much, and I don't know how to really express it. And when I was a witness, I held everything inside.
Yeah.
No anger. I didn't talk back. I asked questions, and I got in trouble so many times and reproved so many times. And at some point, I did kind of just shut up, or shut down.
Yeah.
And then, and my daughter, I never really raised my kids strict as a witness. My mom and dad, well, my mom tried to, cram it down their throat. And my daughter just rebelled constantly, and she said she was not ever going to give in to that control from everybody else. She said she had a brain, she could think for herself.
Yeah.
And her and I have walked corners many, many, many times, but still I can see the genuineness in her, and she doesn't even see it. She says she hates everybody. She don't, because I watch her and I observe her. I'm like, well, why did you do this? And why did you do this? Honey, if you hate everybody, you would never be so sweet and kind and considerate.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, she yells at me and stuff, but I'm her mother, and she knows I'm going to still be there. If she yells at me, I'm still going to just, but I've learned, she and I are doing a really good, it's like a dance, give and take, give and take.
Yeah.
Take, give, back and forth.
Yes.
It just, today we had a wonderful day together, and I mean,
That's
and
beautiful.
I like,
Well, Debbie,
Murphy up in,
let me ask you. So what do you do now that you didn't do before that makes you want to get out of bed? What do you do now that you didn't do before?
well, see, I always did a lot of stuff. But now I have more people to call.
Yeah.
And talk to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And more people to send cards to.
Yeah.
And when I get someone's address, I try to send a card. just to say hi, if nothing else. And then as you learn people's personalities, you can kind of adjust what you think of the person, and you're thinking, yeah, I would get that for so and so. And I would get that for so and so. And I want to send Brad a card in Australia, but I haven't been able to get a hold of anybody at the post office. And every way I try to go, I don't know, do you have to have an international stamp, or can you use regular stamp as long as you put enough on the envelope and things like that? Because I know Brad feels alone a lot of the time.
Well, maybe we'll check
I
that out. Yeah, we'll check that out.
But I'm a lot happier now because I finally feel whole again.
Well,
I don't have that emptiness.
You sound so much more than you did when we first met you. You do.
Thank you.
And I truly.
It's because of you and Fran.
Well, and what I will say is we're privileged just to be a part of the people here, and you and others. We couldn't feel this way in that when we were in that organization, but we do now.
Debbie, I have an answer to your question. Thanks to Google.
Okay.
It says for just $1.45, first class mail international global forever stamp, you can send a 1-ounce letter or postcard to any other country in the world. Put stamps in the upper right hand corner of your envelope. So you should be able to mail Brad, and but double check it at the post office. But it's supposed to be $1.45 according to Google.
Oh, I didn't even think about Googling it. Oh, good grief.
Oh, that's our friend.
Things are so obvious, I just forget. We never had that where you could just Google something. We had the old-fashioned way. And I used to have, even as a child, with my parents, my uncle and aunt were missionaries in Africa, and then another person that was best friends with my dad growing up was in Chile, South America, and I had friends internationally, and then I had a best friend. I had more than one best friend, and one of them went back to the witnesses, and the last night we talked, I cried and cried and cried, and we had a wonderful visit. We were on the phone like 3 hours, and she said, well, we were FaceTime talking. And she said, well, you know what I've got to do now? She said, this will be the last time we talk. And she says, I've got to block you now. And she said, I love you. And I said, I love you too. And that was it. Of course, I cried for 3 days because we grew up from toddlers, and she was in my wedding, and we had kids at the same age, we became grandmothers, and then all of a sudden, nothing. And then one of my other friends that listens in on 6 screens, she's blocked me, and she's not a witness, and I don't know. She said I traumatized her just from my voice. And I'm like, how is that possible? And it really hurt me because I was always there for her. Mm-hmm. And I said, you don't want to be friends anymore? She said, no. And she's got me blocked. And I don't understand how.
Debbie, it.
How even people.
That we need relationships where we can give to each other. Sometimes they're one way and they don't work. Those relationships just don't work. We don't understand them. We don't understand why this person won't give back, and when I want to give to them. But They just don't work.
Mhm.
We have to stick with ones where we can return the kind of love that we want to give, like you do.
Yeah, well, I'm still learning that, and well, we're always learning.
Yes.
Life is learning. All it's constantly. If you're not learning, you're not living.
Right.
So, and I've always been an active learner. With one thing or another.
Yeah.
I'm getting really good with herbal medicine and things like that, and
That's really good, Debbie. You're
I,
doing
I
so
almost got
good.
admitted to the hospital today.
Uh-oh.
But I did research and went to the health food store and bought exactly the ingredients I needed to make this medicine for myself.
Good for you.
So hopefully this is going to work. If not, I'll be in the hospital next week.
Oh,
But
Uh,
give this a try and make sure, but the fact that I've been studying so actively for years about herbal medicine, I don't want anything to do with the medical system.
yeah. Well,
Although,
you better-
there's a certain amount we have to have. But if you can still learn some things on your own,
oh my goodness.
and, it's great to be able to have the freedom to just to be yourself and not constantly worry about people watching you and like just waiting for you to make a mistake so they can run to the elders and tell on you or something. And that's so nice not to have to
You're right.
feel that paranoid. And I did feel that way all the time because I was one that would talk back if I thought there was something unfair going on.
Yeah. Well, that's toxic. That was toxic. We're not part of that anymore.
Yeah.
You sound so.
Yeah.
You
And
sound,
I'm so glad I'm not. But and I listened to Rick's show when he was first doing the 6 screens, and then I went for years without it, and then I started back, and at first I thought this is stupid. I shouldn't do this because it's like going back to the, I didn't want to. I was scared of trying to get too close to people, but I just started meeting people from Rick's show, and I'm so grateful that Rick has this platform that he does for all of us for free, and he's connecting us worldwide with people and people that love the way we love each other,
Right. It's good to reflect on that.
It's just,
I totally agree with you. It's so good to reflect on that. We have so much. And then what I'm going to say is, and then I challenge anyone and every one of us to do that in their own community now. Like Rick has done it here, that we individually do that in our own communities.
Debbie, we want to send you, when we get our postcards printed, we want to send you a few so that you can send out. And if you can get them printed or print them on your computer or however, you can send them to neighbors so that they know what's going on in the Jehovah's Witness community.
yeah, that's a really good idea. And there's a Kingdom Hall not far from here.
Good.
And I used to just hate going by there. And now I think, oh, those poor people.
That's right.
I just feel so bad for them because they are still blind, and it's more sad than anything. And Joe, there was something you said to me. Oh, hold on, that's my Alexa. I'm talking in the background, which I'm getting tired. I'm getting scared of AI. They know everything about it. But that was something you said, Joe, that really stuck with me. And I even told my daughter this, and she doesn't really. I don't know. What was that noise? You said to me that you can see God in other people. That's how you can see God in ways. And one day, that's what I said to her. I said, I can see God in you. And she was like, what? I said, you really do. I can see through all of the junk and still see like her heart.
That's right.
And I know something's there. And I found out, where my son is, and it's really sad that he's done some things, and the rest of the family won't forgive him for.
Mm-hmm.
I will. They don't own my granddaughters. They don't. Why would you do? I said, he's my son, and he wouldn't have done all this if he had not had a brain injury and had part of his brain removed, because I did send one child into surgery and I got a different child back.
Yeah.
And he was not the same person.
Yeah.
And I was trying to explain that to my daughter.
Yeah.
And they were so, she fought his battles for him. She did so much for him. And he would be like grateful for 15 minutes, but then, go right back. And they said, how can you forgive him? And I said, because I still love him.
That's right.
I said, I gave birth to him, and I have a picture of him when he was little. And I said, that was my little boy.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I've never allowed myself to grieve that my son died that day.
That's right.
That he went into surgery. But I can see him, but I still think of him as a little boy.
That's right.
And the other day it hit me, oh my God, he is a grown man.
Yeah.
He's going to be 42 this year.
Yeah.
But there's so much great things he's missed out on because of the damage done to his brain.
We go through so much.
So I can't, and I can't not love him. I can understand that, but then I was told, again, you can pick either us or him, but not both. And I was told if I even went to visit him, that would be the end of any relationship with my daughter and granddaughters.
Okay.
Because they will not. They just said he repeated the same stuff over and over, and he'll never change. But he's in a rehab program for a year, but they're keeping him and letting him live there. They're going to help him find the doctors to treat his seizures, and they're going to rehabilitate him so he can even get a job, part-time that can go with this. Well, he lost his disability because he's not had an address for years, and, he was just homeless, but then my daughter said, well, he chose that life. Yeah, he did. But, who knows? When you take apart a person's brain, they can become a psychopath, a sociopath, or both, And, he totally got involved with the wrong people. And, he did some terrible things even to me.
Debbie,
my son. I still love him.
Debbie, sometimes at time, you really have to give things time.
Yeah.
For your daughter, your granddaughter, between them, your son, and it's the most difficult thing, but sometimes we just have to give it time and see how things work out.
Well, I said, what you're doing, you don't want to speak to him, you don't want to see him. You say he's dead to you. You sound just like a Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah.
It's disfellowshipped them. God literally disfellowshipped them. And no, I know it takes time, but it's really, really hard to get through to people. And you know this, and even with your kids, it's hard to get through to them. You can forgive somebody, but that doesn't mean you're going to forget it. But in turn, they're forgiving you for all your mistakes too.
Right.
And I just feel like with someone's brain damage, you have to go that extra mile. It doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah.
I mean, Lord knows I'm brain damaged, but and my daughter still tells me, and this is so true, is quit asking permission from me. You're a grown woman, for God's sake. You're my mother. I should be asking you. And she said, what's wrong with you? I said, I've always been told what to do, what to think. And she said, but that's stupid. Why can't you just let that crap go? And I'm like, because I was indoctrinated from birth. All day. And I tried to let it go so many times, but I was a single mom. I needed my parents' help. I didn't know what else to do. I had to stay for them.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but
Well,
anyway, I'm not trying to focus on it.
Well,
I'm just.
Look, Debbie, that's what so many people go through. Is there something new in their life? And it doesn't happen at once. It just doesn't. It starts with a thought.
Yeah.
It starts with a thought. And then it takes a lot of, it takes time. Like Fran was saying, it takes time for something to become a part of us that we want to be a part of.
It takes baby steps. We all start off with baby steps, But I'm just wanting you to know that y'all have made such an amazing difference in my life. And
you too.
I love y'all
Debbie,
so much, and I love Rick and Susan. They're great people, and they both work, to bring this platform out. Susan works behind the scenes all the time, and I didn't even realize that until one day she was telling me she was right there helping Rick, and I'm like, well, duh, I should have known that, because I mean, he's a busy man doing all of this, and I believe he gets divine help, for being able to do all this, because it's such a huge thing that he's doing. And I keep thinking, what are we going to do if something happens to him? I don't have the technology experience and stuff that he does, or the abilities that he does to bring this to every.
Right, but don't underestimate what you can do in your own little community. Really, Debbie, you are. Every one of us is in that same situation. Our combined efforts is what's going to help. Rick is the inspiration for all of us, and I truly feel that as well. When I see him and Susan doing what they're doing, it says, well, we've got to do what we can do. That's what moves us for that.
I think Rick wants to say something, matter of fact.
No, in fact, no, it's interesting Debbie says that, but it's, I get a lot of encouragement out of these programs too. And we just happen to be here at the 6 screens, but I listen in intently. But, everyone has their own little venue. It's all working, and that's the good thing. And, the 6 screens has been a very good venue to bring people together as well. But, the ex-Jehovah's Witness community is growing, and I want to see it grow like this. I don't want to be the only one involved in bringing this about, because it puts a lot of pressure on me, but I do see it's all growing, and we're so happy. We're so happy that more and more people are coming in, like Joe and Fran. They're expanding the network, and it's reaching out to people, and more people are coming to know what the Watchtower is hiding behind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Rick, we love you and Susan so much. I don't think so many of us can express our gratitude.
Well,
And I can't even, I can talk a lot, but I can't put it into words
well,
myself. How grateful we all are that you're doing this for all of us, and it's just so beautiful. And you because of you, you've saved a lot of our lives. You really have. I'm not trying to put pressure on you. I'm just letting you know that that's how important what you're doing is for so many of us. I tried to commit suicide so many times before I connected up with you when you first started the Six Screens many years ago. And I've never even had the least amount of desire to ever do that again. It just, you help. Knowing somebody was out there that understood and knew how important it was to connect us with each other. I felt so alone in Nebraska as nothing but one little rural community after another. And it's not been exactly welcoming here because the whole thing here is so different than the South. And the South people don't look at you like you're crazy if you wave at them when they drive by, or I don't know. There's good people everywhere.
Well, there is,
That's the
Debbie.
one that
There's good
different cultures.
there's good people everywhere, Debbie, and you're a good person too. And you're doing your best to wiggle your way loose from all of this garbage the Watchtower fed you. And thank you for giving the kind remarks. I really appreciate that. But we have Joe and Fran. They're doing their best to unite the ex-witness community, and they're doing it. And that's what this program is going to be focused on in the future, is bringing all these ex-Jehovah's Witnesses together. And we certainly thank Fran and Joe for coming on here and wanting to do that. So we do appreciate it. Thank you, Fran and Joe. And we really do enjoy our little platform here. We're having a good time. As long as we're having fun and we're helping people, I don't see where we're going to give up. We're going to keep moving forward. So thank you, Debbie, for saying these things. And thank you, Fran and Joe. And we're going to move on now. We got Eric coming up. He wants to talk about Red Pilled by the Watchtower. So,
Eric's great too, y'all.
Yeah, well, we're looking forward to that.
Eric too.
So I'll leave it up to Fran and Joe. Fran and Joe, what's your last words here on the Six Screens? What would you like to say?
Good people find each other.
Well, that's it. That's good. Good people do find each other. And we're all coming together here. And boy, we had such a good program. All of the programs tonight, we had Barbara Anderson on. We had the Six Screens news. And boy, I'll tell you what, more and more people are coming in and listening. And a number of people called in tonight for the first time. So I think that's a wonderful thing when that happens. So let's hope it continues to happen in the future. And I don't see why it's not going to. But thank you, Fran and Joe. Thank you for being part of the network. And we're going to see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
We'll see you hopefully Friday.
Oh, yes. In fact, Friday. Yes. In fact, you give me all the, I'm looking forward to it. I really am. So this Friday. So give me a little heads up on what's going on. In fact, I'll give you a call Thursday, and we'll be able to hook up, and all good things are going to work out. We're looking forward to it. Thank you, guys. Okay.
You're
Thank you, Rick.
welcome.
Thank
all righty.
Bye, y'all.
Bye,
Bye,
Debbie.
Debbie. Love you.
Good night, all. All right. All right, we love we love everyone coming into the six screens tonight. I'll tell you what, it's getting good. It's really, really getting good. I feel good. I really do. I'm glad to be part of the whole family here. So it's all getting better. Thank you very much. We're going to end the program here, and stay with us. We got Red Pill by the Watchtower. Well, that's Eric. He's coming up next, right here on the six screens, telling